Welcome to Weekday Faith, short, meaningful messages to strengthen your walk with Christ. Because faith isn't just for Sundays, it's for every day of the week. In just a few minutes, we'll unpack fresh Bible-based truths that encourage, challenge, and help us live a little more like Jesus right in the middle of our everyday lives. So take a moment, open your heart, and let's grow together in faith.
Welcome to Weekday Faith, a space for you to be inspired and encouraged in the middle of your week outside of Sunday. And so today we're going to start a little mini-series out of Mark chapter 6. I've been meditating in this passage for a number of months now and wanted to just share a few thoughts. And so we're going to begin by reading starting in verse 45. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to Bethsaida, while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountainside to pray. Later that night, the boat was in the middle of the lake, and he was alone on land. He saw the disciples straining at the oars because the wind was against them. Shortly before dawn, he went out to them, walking on the lake. He was about to pass by them, but when they saw him walking on the lake, they thought he was a ghost. They cried out because they all saw him and were terrified. Immediately, he spoke to them and said, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." Then he climbed into the boat with them, and the wind died down. They were completely amazed. And so today, our thought is coming from the life of Jesus himself. Jesus had just been feeding the 5,000, and it says that he immediately made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead. I can't speak for Jesus, but I am an introvert, and so I get the need, after being with 5,000 people, the need to say, disciples, you go on ahead. I'm going up onto the mountainside. I need to be alone. I need to pray. I get that. And so this is where we find Jesus alone on the mountainside with the disciples in the boat. And so what did it say? It said later that night, the boat was in the middle of the lake, and it says that Jesus was alone on land, and he saw that the disciples were straining at the oars because the wind was against them. And I don't know if you've ever been in a boat when the wind is against you and you're straining at the oars, but it is not fun. And you're not getting anywhere very fast. Jesus sees them. They are not so far away that he does not recognize that they are struggling. And what is interesting is that he does not immediately go out to them. He stays alone on the mountainside, and all night they are struggling in the boat. Finally, it says that shortly before dawn, he went out to them walking on the lake. Shortly before dawn. He saw them later that night, and it is not until shortly before dawn that he goes out to the middle of the lake. And I just want to encourage you, because I think sometimes we think that Jesus doesn't see us. Why is this so hard? Why isn't he coming to my rescue when I am struggling? What is worth noting is that the disciples were not on some crazy journey of their own making. They were not in this place because they had sinned. They had followed the orders of Jesus. They had gotten in the boat and were headed to where he had told them to go. They were in the place of obedience to Christ, and yet they find themselves in the middle of a lake struggling at the oars against the wind. If that is you today, it does not necessarily mean that you have done something wrong. You could be in complete obedience to what God has called to you to do. You could be doing everything that you know to be doing that is right. And still you're asking, why is it so hard? Why is nothing working? Why are the winds against me? I'm not going anywhere. Be encouraged today. The disciples were in that place. And Jesus didn't immediately go rescue them, but he did. Shortly before dawn, he went out there. What the takeaway for us, though, that I want us to see today is that Jesus helped people. Jesus came to the rescue not out of need, but out of the place of prayer. Jesus stayed in the place of solitude and prayer. And I think we are very quick to want to run to somebody's rescue and to meet that need. And there's nothing wrong with having a heart like that. But we are disciples of Christ. We are under the teaching and the transformation power of becoming more like Christ. And so we have to begin to ask, how did Christ meet the overwhelming need that was all around? And we have to take his example. And so as you are in your workplace, as you are in your families, and needs are arising, and brokenness is there, and difficulty is there, what I want to encourage you to do is just to take a breath. I want you to just find a few moments to be with the Father. Jesus said he only did what he saw the Father doing. Not what he wanted to do, not what the people needed him to do. He did what he saw the Father doing. And how often are we just a quick response to that need, to that person that needs help, and we don't ever take time to meet that need out of the place of prayer, out of the place of, Father, what are you wanting to do? Father, what would you have me to do? And I think that if we would just take time to do that we would begin to be able to help people to meet needs with less likelihood of burnout, with less likelihood of woundedness, in fact, we would begin to do it out of a place of authority, because we know now, we've taken time to pray and hear what the Father wants to do or is doing, and now we can come in and help with authority because we've partnered with the Father and what he is doing and wanting to do in that person or that situation, what he is wanting to do through us in those places. And so take time. You see the need. Somebody asks for help. There's a hard situation. Just find a bathroom, find your car, and just take a few moments and say, Father, what are you doing? Father, what would you have me do? And begin to minister out of the place of prayer and not our immediate, what we think, what our immediate responses are for ourselves. And we might be surprised by what God does in and through us. We might be surprised about how we're able to help somebody that we didn't think we would be able to. But now, the Father has given us direction. And so take that time this week, just take a breath, go to the Father, see what the Father has to say, and then begin to minister out of that place.